So, last session, we got all the pieces that we needed to put the souls back in place. You all went to the mom's house and they had everything already set up, because that's not strange at all. We were able to find and return the souls of 3 of the people. And then Windward shared a story that I don't think they've shared with anyone ever.
Nope. Kept that one to myself.
For good reasons.
Yeah, you don't let slip that there's an angel that's been barred from heaven slip, and then that they're abroad. That's not safe.
Yeah. No. But there was someone in the house who was familiar with the story. Roma. And she was aware of something that Windward hadn't quite realized yet, and that she had already found the person that she's been looking for all this time. And when she said that, Kyle also remembered all the past lives that they've lived. I will also reiterate, this does not change anything about who Kyle is.
No.
Kyle is still the same person they've always been. It just maybe provides a little more context for certain skills Kyle has.
It's true. When Kyle remembered everything, it felt like a download of information entered their mind. And a lot of the things that didn't make sense just started to click. But it was still Kyle. It was still them. Like, they didn't change. They still felt the way they felt. It was more that there was an explanation for the things that they didn't understand than a change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Hess was very distracted, and it took her a second to realize exactly what was going on. And she had a little minor freakout / fangirl moment. And then y'all stepped away to get a little privacy, because you have a lot to catch up on, whether you want that to be, just find an empty room a couple doors down to talk, or bamf yourself somewhere.
Yeah. I think Windward comes across the room and extends a hand out to Kyle. He steps up. Windward does this thing. It's very something that they like a great deal, where they will. You've seen kind of the proper way that ladies are escorted. The old thing where the man's got his arm out in kind of a rigid posture, and the woman sort of demurely lays a hand inside and holds on to him that way. Windward trained Kyle to do that a long time ago, just because it's extremely cute. Part of the reason it's funny is Windward's like 6 foot plus and Kyle isn't.
Mm-hmm. Kyle is 5'4". It's really cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like this might have also happened a lot with Jophiel, too.
Oh, I mean, maybe. Like, angels have a different experience of body.
Good point.
This has been something that Zadkiel had to unlearn. This static form, this sort of consistency, this inability, or this unwillingness, the lack of usefulness to be just protean and driven entirely by a greater will was beaten out of Zadkiel as they slowly turned into the different people that they've been.
Yeah, adapting to the different owners of your soul throughout time.
Yeah. And so, like, at the end of the day, yeah, this sort of thing, this puckishness, there's something about this that ought to be incongruous, but at the same time it is deeply endearing. Like, I don't know how you communicate that without form, but whatever they had done back before the fall and back before they were separated, I think, Kyle, as you just like, there's a recognition that the way Windward has been, the little things that Windward's been doing, the little things that Windward started to do for you, the ways that you relate to each other, echo back. Not even back, echo away. Because, like, we are beings that exist out of time. We are existing within time now. But there is this delineation between before and after. And there are these echoes, these ways that we've spoken to one another, that we've taken to one another, that cross that line. And you feel it and you recognize it in this little visual joke, this comedic endearment as the two of us stand up and leave the room. And for a reason that, like, nobody else who's in the room understands or notes, my guess is that the Fates understand these things, and she knows why she looked away. But nobody else watches as we get to the door, and we walk through the door of the room together, and it's the corner at Junk Drawer again. It's that love seat again. It's that bookshelf that just kind of goes up until it loses the light. And the little love seat that we sat down on yesterday. And if I remember correctly, Windward sat and had Kyle's head in her lap while they talked. Is that?
I think it was more Kyle was leaned against you.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially when the box came out and Kyle was sitting very bisexually.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Always.
Settling back into the exact same position you were in yesterday, and yet both so much has changed and nothing has changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the same shot.
Except for the fact that Kyle is no longer casually panicking about what happens when we fight into this person.
It's very different. It's a very different energy that Kyle has right now. I think Wardy can see that this time Kyle is calm. It's still Kyle, but this energy of fear, of being left behind, of not sharing or anything, any anxious feeling that was there yesterday was replaced with just understanding and calmness. Because now they know. They remember everything. And though nothing has changed, there's so much more to talk about.
Yeah, you got a couple 100,000 years to catch up on. Maybe not right in this moment, but you have a little bit of time.
Do you know when I should have realized?
No.
It was the first moment when I saw you. And I thought that you were impossibly beautiful. Oh my. I had forgotten how to dream.
I thought that first time we met, I thought it was love at first sight. And I thought that was funny because I've never experienced that.
I just had a thought for why you were in this, why you were in Weird Mart that day, why you were going by the junk drawer. George sent you to pick something up from the store.
He did.
Bit of an odd assignment compared to the rest, but George is the one who told you to go there that day.
I don't think George knew. it would have been impossible for him to have known.
It would be dangerous for him to have known. I've kept you a secret. I haven't... Jophiel, I haven't even said your name since I left. Since I came for you, I couldn't. It's been nearly impossible, but I've had to try not to even think of you in order to keep you safe. He could not have known.
I feel like I've forgotten a lot of things. And I feel like that's been my life for a long time. Just, like, there's something there that was beautiful. And I've forgotten everything about it until today. And somehow I knew it involved you.
You've always believed in me more than I have.
Can you blame me? You're always my star.
Well, you are an angel of understanding, and I am merely the Lord's mercy.
You must have been so lonely.
The only reason I haven't died is because I can't. The only reason I didn't want to is I knew you were still out there. Hope is fickle. It abandoned me at times because it hurt too much to hope for you. But I endured. You've endured.
I got it way too easy. You should know that. I have lived so many lives. Happy ones, sad ones. Not knowing about you. Not knowing what I was missing.
Yes, I met a few. Every time our paths crossed, you were always leading these astounding lives of adventure and beauty and sex and the highest kinds of romance and excitement. And I never quite knew that it was you. I never quite let myself believe that I had found you again. Of course I couldn't. It wasn't safe. Of course I don't even know if I believe that anymore. I was scared.
I remember now. But I didn't remember any of that.
I know.
If there were times where it was actually you, as Windward says that, you remember.
As you remember the times when our paths crossed, be it as the lackey of a rival, as a supplier for a job that you were running. I think we worked together on a heist once. There's this night where you just went salsa dancing, just in some nowhere town, and just out of the crowd, Windward had shown up, and the two of you danced. And then Windward just breezed away. And at the time, it was nothing to be remarked upon. But as you remember back, as you've gained access to these extra senses, these extra feelings of purpose and of substance, there's just that violet aura that you probably feel with Zadkiel now. But there's just that sense of the person's there. And so you know all of those times.
I wish I knew it then instead of knowing it just now. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
I feel like I wasted so much time just wandering and living and dying and living again and dying again and not knowing anything.
My love, you've done so much more than just live and die. You lived while you were alive. You live now.
As a lackey. As a demon-possessed lackey.
So you've come full circle back to where we've started.
Apparently.
That's a hey, come on, George isn't that bad.
And all of my memories intact. George is one of the better demons that I have served. Granted,
also,
now that I'm remembering.
not actually demon.
Not
just
actually a demon.
Weird fae being.
Weird fae being. One of the better ones. Gave me a lot of access to a lot of things I never had access before.
Better to be indebted to no one, but if you're going to be indebted to someone.
George is a good option.
We'll take the George.
Once you kick the stranger's ass, then your part of that deal's done.
Ah, the stranger. That's an interesting thing to remember suddenly. It's not like I made promises or anything.
Wasn't a promise.
Did you say that out loud? Did you say that in character, or are you just like saying that out of character?
I said that out loud.
Okay.
And then, realizing that Kyle said that out loud, they suddenly become quiet and is like going to pretend that nothing was said.
You've just been thinking out loud, and then had the moment of, oh wait, that thought was out loud too.
That's not something I should probably be saying out loud. And I stand up. I'm gonna go get something to drink. Do you want anything?
Windward looks you up and down and says, well, now that you mention it, I am rather thirsty.
And oh hey, look, a fireplace.
Phrasing.
And we pan over to LaRon where he's stocking some shelves on the other side of the store. He just rolls his eyes and keeps stalking.
So do you actually go get drinks?
After you say you're thirsty, there's a moment of padding to the fireplace. And pans back, and Kyle's a little disheveled. And it's like, I really am gonna get those drinks. Like, do you want anything?
Kyle, that would be a lovely opportunity for you to collect your thoughts. So that you can tell me what you've done.
Sure. And I do step away after I say sure to get drinks. I just grab like my normal Diet Coke and what does Wardy usually like?
So next to the fridge that's got all the Coke in it, there is a tank that Windward keeps filled with fresh water that has like 6 cinnamon sticks floating in it. There's an entire orange, or there's like 2 orange peels and 1 lemon peel in the tank, and floating on top is a like a hydroponic vanilla flower. And then when you turn the spigot, it's got one of those spiraled bits of tubing that goes down. So you open it and the water starts flowing through it, and it like goes around that twirl, and then it fills up. And there are 3 of these, but it's like the classic Coca-Cola cups, like the 6-ounce Coca-Cola glass. It's just they've been run through the dishwasher so many times that there's just kind of like the ghost of the Coca-Cola logo on each one, but one of them's sitting there, and it fills up, and that's what Windward drinks.
That is the drink that Kyle gets. While I just get a can of Diet Coke to myself, because that's a fancy drink.
Also a drink Windward probably never stocked until Kyle started working there, and then just immediately there are always like 3 cartons.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I come back and I hand Wardy the drink, and I sit next to Wardy, not as close as we were, but still sort of like, basically there's a little bit of space for concern, but not
Not trying to be distant, but we need to have a conversation kind of sitting.
Yeah, but Kyle doesn't know how to start the conversation, sort of, because the whole bringing up of the stranger thing was an accident of just Kyle thinking out loud, and now Kyle feels like they might be in trouble or not in trouble, but like doesn't understand really. So it's just sort of like, here's your drink, Forty. Hi.
Windward takes a sip of their drink and smacks their lips a little bit and says, "You know, I think I finally figured out what the problem is. I'm legally obtaining this water. Everybody knows the best cola is just made with stolen water. We'll have to figure out a way, figure out some rich people to steal some water from next opportunity we get. Perhaps once all of this business is concluded."
Yeah,
boy.
rich people water tastes so much better.
Doesn't it?
I don't know what they do to it. They do something weird to it, like they have to like drop like a drop of blood or something. I'd be very pissed off if that's what makes the water taste better.
That's the rich vampires.
Oh.
Sometimes the rich wolves. Werewolves tend to be more supportive of their community, but sometimes there are some that are a little bit more of the rich asshole type.
No, I'm quite sure that their water tastes better. It is really just that it's stolen. And it comes out, they put it into nice glasses. That's in my experience, what it is. They've robbed it from somebody who needs it more than they do.
So we should probably just rob it from them. That would make it taste much, much better, because it's like...
Well, obviously, yeah, of course. Who are we going to steal it from? The poor? They don't have anything.
No, we're going to steal it from the rich, so it's robbing square.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and they're not really robbing it from the poor. Again, the poor don't have anything. That's why they're poor. They're robbing it from all of us, from the collective, from the community, from the earth itself, really. Frankly, I'm surprised that this planet hasn't just kind of bodily hurled the rich into space at this point.
Give it time. Mother Nature tends to be vengeful.
It's also
True.
dealing with the fact that reality's fraying a little bit, but y'all don't know that.
One hopes that this vengeful bitch of ours awakens before everything is consumed by an insatiable greed.
Wouldn't you think that this insatiable greed just sort of wants to know what life is like and, doesn't really mean us harm and is just kind of curious and wants to, like I said, live life?
Well, if it wanted to know how to live life, then when it was explained to this insatiable greed that rampant and wide-reaching consumption is perhaps a little bit antithetical to the sustenance of life, to the sustaining of life, then that greed would stop doing that, and perhaps take a different tact.
Huh. Kyle doesn't really say anything else, just sort of like pops open the diet soda and just sort of like leans back on the chair, really.
Mm-hmm. Life is very much about compromise. I know in our condition, in our our prelapsarian states, we were static beings, for as formless as we were. But life is compromise, life is change. I think perhaps that's what Michael missed.
Michael missed a lot of things.
He's a rather dense
Including
individual.
The fact that Lucifer was head over heels.
Yeah.
And she wasn't subtle about it.
He did. He did. Continues to.
Interesting. Are you still in contact with them somehow?
No, just astute at recognizing patterns.
I didn't realize I missed them until I started remembering.
You miss them?
Like one misses a family that you've disowned.
I see. Yes.
Interesting, you know?
Yeah.
Family. Interesting how that works.
You know what I've realized? I don't know that I've ever had a family until now. No, I haven't. In all this time. Never had the space for one. Not since we left, I suppose, but didn't have family until, well, recently.
I hate that for you.
Well, better late than never. And there is nobody else in the whole of all existence that I would rather start a family with. So, I don't know that I've missed too entirely much. Perhaps I was just holding out for the right family to come back along.
We'll just have to make up for lost time. And I've had a lot of practice. Millions of lives worth of practice. If I'm remembering correctly.
Thinking about the individual lives isn't as bad. Trying to calculate all of them together gives you a bit of a headache.
It does. It gives me a little bit of a headache. But I am capable of individual memories, I guess.
Yeah.
Just trying not too hard to let them all through. It's a lot. I've lived a lot of lives.
Did you make families in all of them? Did you? Well, I suppose you were always born, but...
Always had families. Born in them, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I made my own family. Those were fun. There were times that I ended up alone. Whether by choice or not, those were less fun. I never liked being alone.
Have to do my best to make sure you never are.
Yeah.
I think Windward reaches over and takes your hand. Holds it.
Kyle pulls you close.
Yeah. Windward leans over and places their head on your shoulder.
And I would be playing with your hair.
There's just this moment. This doesn't happen often to you, Kyle, working with George, but he does sometimes basically send warnings to your mind, almost. Okay. Just because, you know, sometimes, like, you find out last minute it's faster than texting. You just hear him, he sounds out of breath, like he's weak, his energy's failing, like he's hurt. He's like, you need to end this soon. I don't know how much you need to end this.
And what? I say out loud.
And the connection's gone.
Dang. George is in trouble.
Oh?
And he wants me to end this, I'm assuming, end the stranger.
That is the larger this that is going on.
I don't assume he's talking about us and ending this moment, even though he seemed to have done that.
Spoiled the moment, to be sure, but more to come. More to come?
More to come. I promise.
And Windward, you notice you have a text on your phone from probably one of the moms. Let's be real, they're usually the ones who tend to know things.
Yeah.
And it just says one word. Theater.
Okay. Windward looks at it and shows Kyle and says, well, my love, I suppose it's time to get dressed, and perhaps we'll even have to skip dinner as we're in something of a hurry, but I believe we've got a date at the theater.
Is it a fun date or a sort of an end of the world date?
Oh, depending on how things go, the end of the world could actually be quite fun, so.
What's another apocalypse, right?
Or like Kyle stands, offers his elbow. Windward threads their arm through Kyle's, and they walk off to go find whatever way that they're gonna take to get to the theater.
As you're walking, I'm assuming, to where the car is, Kyle, your reflexively like opening and closing your hand, like moving your fingers on your free hand.
Uh-huh.
And so as long as you've known George, he always has this cane. It's almost like a scepter with him that seems to be where part of where he gets his power. And as you're doing that, you, like, your fingers close around and you look down and you have his staff.
Well, this is new. And I show it to Wardy, and I have a staff. Now, I think this is George's staff. I really hope my boss isn't dead.
Well, for at least the interim, it seems to be your staff now.
And it'll take you exactly where you need to go, among other things, because it's got a connection to the entity that George met in the woods not that long after he first came into this town. And I think the camera ends with, we see this whirl of like leaves and vines wrapping around Joe, and you vanish and appear standing in front of the theater.
I don't even think we blink. That happens, and then once all of the leaves and the vines settle, we're still arm in arm, and we walk into the theater. I hope that, would Kyle be using it as a cane, like as kind of a swagger stick, like a
No,
fancy?
Actually, Kyle's never held a cane before, doesn't really know how to use it, so he's sort of holding it like a sword. This'll be fine. This is how it is. This is how you carry a cane, I'm sure.
Kyle, no, but Jofiel has to have been a dandy at some point.
Probably, but Kyle is Kyle's right now, and Kyle's never held a cane before, and
Kyle's not thinking in their past lives. Kyle's thinking in, we gotta stop the universe from ending. I just found.
And my boss George is in trouble. I am going to come in here with a sword-like staff, holding a staff like a sword. That is,
okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll kick in at some point, how to hold a staff properly.
Yeah, we'll see. Tempus Multae is a production of Pseudonym Social, changing reality one story at a time. It is an actual play podcast using Urban Shadow's 2E Quick Start Guide, and it's set once again in the town of Oak Ridge, Tennessee. I am your keeper and producer.
Hello everyone, it's Casey again. I'll be playing Cass Pravda, the Oracle Playbook.
My name is Zadkiel, or just Zad. In this game, I am going to be playing Windward Pudge, and they are using the Imp Playbook.
Hi there, I'm Maria Perry. I'm playing Millie Elza, your local vampy vampire.
I am Blaze, and I'll be playing Jason Madison Coleman, the Aware.
Sup, y'all? I'm Panic Foxfire. I will be playing Hess, playing from the Book of the Wizard.
Hi, I'm Glyza. I will be playing Kyle of the Tainted Playbook.
I am Ava Rogers. I will be playing Angel Day, the Sworn.
To get more information on this or any of our other shows, check out our website at pseudonymsocial.com.